competing in, we are repeating in, we are believing in. It's time for us to shift our mind from best in the world to best for the world. Make decisions intentional, to take decisions intentional, making decisions intentional. Make decisions intentional, to take decisions intentional, making decisions intentional. It creates a new world to mind a shift, intentionality, perceptuality, conceptuality. We are choosing to shift our mind to best for the world, best for our world. Make decisions intentional, to take decisions intentional, making decisions intentional. Make decisions intentional, to take decisions intentional, making decisions intentional.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this special edition of Bead Games that we do under the flag of Best for the World tonight, live stream on YouTube. We live stream this whole weekend with the special interviews and fun workshops and things like that. And this is going to be a live stream workshop that we call the Bead Games. The Bead Games is an exercise that we call a collective sense-making and meaning-making exercise. It's from the book, The Bead Game, that Hermann Hesse wrote and eventually won the Nobel Prize for during the Second World War. In that book, he never describes the game. So a couple of friends of mine came up with the actual prototype of what this game could have looked like. And they started prototyping. And 2 years ago, in March 2020, during the COVID outbreak, they took that exercise online to Zoom, doing it in breakout rooms. And I've been doing it for 2 years now, every week, sometimes 2 or 3 times per week as well. And it's a fantastic exercise in a concept that we will call like wisdom unit. How do we train our perception, our perspective taking, our sense making, and meaning making. And the exercise is very simple. We come up with a concept, a word, or something we're going to choose to talk about in a round. And a round consists of us taking turn talking about this concept. We usually start with 1 minute meditation, then we can do a 12-minute round where each people speak 1 minute each. So that will be for 3 people, that will be 4 times. And then we conclude with a 1 minute contemplation that could be silent or spoken. And then we come back into the main room and we start discussing what we talked about. We can highlight what came up for us and things like that. And the rules during these rounds are very simple. The first rule is you are encouraged to listen actively to what the other people are saying and not think about what yourself going to say. While you listen actively, you can use a notebook, you can use something else to remember what other people said, because it's sometimes hard. Oh, that was super interesting, or write down a quote that someone says, but sometimes interesting quotes come up during the exercise. So you can do that if you like. It's not necessary at all. And the second rule is we refrain from using the word you and I and any personal pronoun. So you don't say, I remembered, I did that, I have seen that, you and I did that, and things like that. And if you happen to do that without you noticing, don't get caught up on that. Just move on, because it's not a hard rule. But the object is to speak in third person about everything. So we remove the ego as much as possible. And if you do this a couple of times during your first exercise, there's no problem. There's no shame and no humiliation in doing that. But as you do this exercise more and more, you will become very, very comfortable with doing this. We have a new guest here. Hello, Margaret. Are you there? So these are the 2 rules. And You can do a breakout room with 2, 3, or 4 people are the best. I prefer 3 people because it gets the best conversation dynamic. And there's also recommendation from not Peter Senji, but who's the other guy? He says always break people up in groups of 3. It's the best conversation shot. I'll find a reference to that person who said that. Community is his book. Peter Block, Community. Yeah. And I think 3 always works best when my experiment. 4 is a good thing as well. 2 can be a very good with your experienced players, but a bit awkward if you're a newbie in this game. So are you there, Margaret? Do you want to play with us, or you just want to observe? You can observe the first round if you like.
Yeah, I would love to observe the first round. I've never played the glass bead game before.
Yeah, several people have never played before, so that's not a problem. So where are you? And do you have a camera or?
I do. Hi.
Yeah. Hi. You're welcome to play the first round. So.
Sure, I'll play. Why not?
Yeah. Then we'll do 1 breakout room, and you can stay in the main room and play with me and Stellan and Christian. Yes. So the rules. If you did you hear both rules? Yeah, and we also have a timer. So if you have a second device like a mobile or something like that, it's preferable to have that, or you can have it in a background browser. Or if you don't have that at all, I can just remind you when it's your turn to speak. And yeah, we do. So for us in the main room, it will be 12 rounds, 3 rounds each. And you're in the breakout room, it will be 4 rounds each. And then I will close down the room and you will come back in the main room. So, and the timer will start automatically if you have a timer. Let's see. So I will start that. And if your mobile sometimes shut down, it's useful like during the exercise to move it up and down so that the window, it doesn't shut down. So you have to open up in it as well. So that's a useful thing to do, is just touch it from time to time so it keeps the window open. Someone has started it again, huh? Let's not do that. I have to reset it. So, and the first thing you do when you come into the breakout room is decide on the order of play. So if you, Florian, has played before, so you can go first and the people can just follow. It's very easy. And there's no penalty for breaking any of the rules. It's just a recommendation. So feel free to improvise, but you will see how it works the first round, and then we will go second and third round. And the room always start with 1 minute meditation when you're silent and do that. Any questions?
How do we decide who goes first?
You just says, well, someone decides, or you can decide collectively. It's a you will come up very, very quickly with a method of deciding the order of play. And if you're on Zoom on desktop, you can actually move people around so that you are in the right order. So that's useful. You drag the portrait of people around so you can put them in the order of play.
Mm-hmm.
Are you ready?
And so I have one more question, Michael.
Yeah.
So when we go into the breakout room, first we're silent for 1 minute for the meditation, and then after 1 minute, the first person starts talking about the theme of this game, right?
And the theme is, what is the future village? So it's the question today. I will type it here as well. And you just speak your mind, anything that comes up, and you build upon what the people before you said as well. So it's a building conversation that something will emerge during this. Any more questions?
Do we go 60 seconds each, and then it just goes
60 seconds each? Yes.
And then we just keep going as soon as the person.
So 12 rounds in total.
Okay, and then just keep going around. Okay, thank you.
And so my question was related to the timer, actually. So you are like the timer guru, and we just
it will start automatically on your screen.
Okay, super.
Ready? We're waiting for Florian. You get it working, Florian? There we go. So order of play then. Should I go first?
Yes, okay. But didn't we lose someone?
No, Florian is in the breakout room. Christiana is with us.
Christiana is here. Okay. So
You want to go second?
I'm here.
Yeah, okay, sorry. I didn't see you. Sorry.
You want to go second?
I can go second.
Yeah. Third? Margaret?
Mm-hmm.
And Christiana fourth. Yes, then I will start the timer. What is a future village? Is it something located in the future? We can glimpse it beyond the horizon or even past. It's maybe past the event horizon. It can never be seen. Is it an impossible concept then? Or is a future village something else? Is it the image we can have? A destination for a present village. So how do we take a present village into the future? Like everything else, going alongside it into the future. Is this village a future we can showcase today? What will a future village probably look like?
The future village is like a decision which makes the future the present and the present the future. So as I see it, this will be like a way of living, a way of working, a way of relating, a way of looking at the world, and taking us as humans to a place or to an existence where we are in line with ourselves and in some kind of what do I say? More like resonating with ourselves and with Mother Nature in a more coherent way.
What might it look like for the people living in a future village? How will we know if we are embodying that future, or if we're still stuck in the past. What will be the rituals and experiences of community together that make it futuresque? Will there be a campfire, some sort of central meeting point? Will it be the connectivity of how people depend on each other?
It's you, Christiana.
How would it be so different from today's conventions? How are the people making a living? How are people find their food and their energy? And how do they relate with each other?
You know, how do people relate with each other? How do they make a living? Is a future village a living place to all live in this village, or is the future village distributed using digital tools? Is the future village even a place? So is this the place where everyone lives together like an old village, making a village together, making up an economic ecosystem where there's products and services for the basic needs? Or is a future village not a place, but a mindset of, I choose these people in a village to live together with. So these are the people rearranged in my village.
So how can we reinvent the concept of a village into something? Well, you know the saying, it takes a village to raise a child. Couldn't it be it takes a village to be resilient? It takes a village to grow the food. It takes a village to meet around the campfire. It takes a village to make a glass bead games. It takes a village to whatever we want to do, and to be able to engage in the people around and building the relations. Can it be like that? Can the future be just something that we put in front of village to reinvent what the village might be and how we look at the world? Can it be that way? So future is only a word for us to reinvent the next part, the village.
So if future is only a word for us to reinvent the village part, and a village doesn't have to be a place, it could be a mindset. What are hallmarks of that mindset? What are the values of the future mindset? Is it generosity? Is it interconnectedness? Is it support? What characterizes that future mindset, and what would success feel like, look like? I am an upstanding member of a future village.
So, Christiana.
Can I go away from this village? Do I have the choice of going away, or am I stuck there? How much safety do I feel in this future place? Do I feel home? Do I feel in peace? Do I feel in sharing? Or am I alone in a place and I don't care and I don't like the people around me? Would I?
It's me now. Yeah. Are you alone in the village? Can you go away from village? Are you stuck in the village? Do you take the village with you when you walk? Is this something? Is the future village your smartphone? Do you keep your village in the smartphone? It can be the people that are around you, but they are also usually in your smartphone because they're your closest connectives, but also the people you don't have in your smartphone. So do you bring the village with you wherever you go? Is the village in your smartphone then? Connected across the internet. So you always have your village with you. Wherever you go, there your village are. The village is always there, unless it's dark, no internet.
Wherever I lay my hat, that's my village. Can it be like a? If it is a mindset, then like a laughter, can it spread, or can it be like a positive virus? You know the saying that a smile travels six people's distance, or something like that. Can the mindset of the village be such an expanding universe, and the people connected to the village, free will? Yes, of course, a free will to decide upon being part of something or taking part.
To decide to take part of something. What happens when you no longer want to take part? What happens if that village feels overwhelming or too crowded and you want more quiet? And everywhere you go, you're bringing the village with you. Are there other villages you can visit instead? Are they in collaboration with each other, or are the different future villages in competition? How would I leave my village to join a new one?
Cristiano.
How close am I to the nature? You see, it's all right to have a village in your mobile, but village in my head means running water, means huge trees, means fresh air, and it means being lost in the wild. And then all of a sudden there are houses that protect you. So you feel close and you feel, oh, I belong there. You see, I have memories and I have willingness to live together, laugh together, cry together, experience together with other people. That's home.
That's home. I belong there. Thank you all for playing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Really great exercise.
Mm.
Anything you want to say before I bring people back?
A wonderful story that weaved. Maybe we weaved it or it weaved itself. I don't know.
Mm.
Still sitting with the ripples from your statement, Michael, of I belong there. And
That was
that's-
Christiana who said it in the end.
Oh, Christiana, did you say that? Oh, I misheard that.
Yeah.
I heard
Lost.
that, and that's like an echo rippling in my
Yeah.
mind.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back.
Thanks.
Hi.
So I'm most curious about your room then. What happened there? Where did you go? Christopher.
We went to the
Yeah.
future village for sure. It was
You've been there? What did he look like? Tell us, please, please.
It was a lot of children and elders. They were sharing stories and being inspired by the children and living in harmony with nature.
There was a time for silence. And at times, the silence was so bountiful. And we made a cob house out of straw, and everyone came together and stomped on the mud together and built a home by the river for one of the couples or families.
And Flora, what came to you in your room?
At beginning, it was very cold at the night, and there's wolf, there's bears outside. And in the summer, it is very hot. But at the night, I was not alone. Like in the darkness, in the deep darkness, there was a campfire, and we are surrounding together. And yeah, making sure that each other is safe. So yeah, I felt secure. I felt confident enough.
I felt confident that I would move tomorrow to the future village.
Go there.
I want to hear about your village.
What happened in our village? Hello, Margaret.
Yeah. We went both outside and came back. By choice, I guess. And ended up in the belonging. It was a very beautiful story that unfolded in some way.
What came to you, Margaret?
Our village became connected to, yet distinct from place, separated, became a mindset that you could bring with you wherever you lay your hat and you would still be connected to it. And it also had water moving through it.
Christiana.
the sense of shared experienced, shared common things, and an absolute sense of belonging. That's home. I think that was the most prevalent or prevailing characteristic.
Yeah, a lot came to me during this exercise, and of course the sentence "I belong there," so profound. And the opposite then, where you don't belong, is that not your village? And Margaret said something like, "Can I have multiple village?" We came up with that. You can bring your village with you, and for me as a digital citizen, I said, I've said for a long time, this is my tribe, but this is also my village. But what happens when internet goes out? Does my village disappear, or do I have some of my peers with me locally, but some of my peers are disconnected from my village for a time? And can I have several villages with me at the same time? Then am I part of several villages? That was never the case in an old village, but a modern village, of course, you're part of several communities. So why can't you be part of several villages as well? You can even feel at home and in like a physical home in different parts of the world. I can come to San Francisco, to Lynn, and feel that I have my village there as well. And that was never the case before as well. So that's something new. But the way we organize and think about this is perhaps like the thing we don't talk about this. We presume that we either live in a small town or a big town, but we don't know everyone in the town. They're part of my town, but they're not part of my village. So who is my village? This is just my nuclear family. We know that this is a horrible way to live. So many things doesn't happen in a nuclear family. Like Stellan said, it takes a village to do all kinds of things, and it doesn't, that you can't do in a 2-person or 4-person family or things like that. There's so many perspectives that are lost, so many skills, so many things that are lost in our 1-person, 2-person, 3-person, 4-person homes, apartments, and houses today. But at the same time, the village is not my city. So the village is something else. Is it the combination of my family, my closest friends, and also my friends afar that I can call in the middle of the night if something happens? They can't bring me water, but they can bring me comfort and warmth. They can't hug me, but we can each hug a pillow and look at each other on a screen. And that's perhaps more profound than hugging a stranger. And we don't have this conversation. And that's why we have this question tonight. Because we miss this. We need villages. We need a place to belong. And it's not just a community you go to 1 hour a week or something like that. That's not your village. That can be your hobby or your workplace, but that's not your village. We belong there for a certain part of time, but the village should be something we belong around the clock. Anyone else?
I have a request. I'm going to visit a village of 160 acres next week, and I think there should be a time when you all come to the village. It's a village of elders, and they've bought the land together, and they're passing it on to a group of people. And then that's in California, but there's another village that I've been involved with in New York State, and it's 90 acres. And that also is one that wants to travel from village to village to live and teach and spend time and then move on. And then there's another village in Denmark. So I'm involved with 3 villages right now. And I really have lived with many people from all over the world. My kids were raised with people from all over the world in my home. My home was filled with people for about 7 years. I take that back, from more than that, 20 years. And I still see my children much more advanced in understanding human development than myself, because they were raised into a village of much more freedom to be with more adults and more people. And I watch them in the world, and it's just quite stunning to watch. So I belong in this village. I like this saying. I love the idea of the many villages. And going to Pakistan, somebody made this, this was just on my phone, but somebody made this for me and sent it in one of my villages. And
I had I'm thinking of what you're saying here, Lynn, and I have a small reflection now. Something happened just 1.5 hours ago or something like that. I realize now that I got a glimpse of this future village, and maybe that is because we live in it if we realize it. And we were having a short conversation just before Earth Hour here in Sweden. It was 1.5 hours, 2 hours ago now. 2 hours ago, yeah. And so in the preparation of it, we were connected. We connected a studio where I live here in Lomma with another, a house in Västerås. It's like not that far, but 2 different parts of Sweden. And around the table in the other house was a girl or a woman, I don't know her age, who came here to Sweden, I guess, a couple of days ago from Ukraine. And isn't that the future village, when you can come into someone's home, people you don't know on beforehand, but when you need, there is like space and room, and what you said, Michael, someone is caring for you, and also bringing water. It was very beautiful now as I reflected on that. It was a glimpse of the future village, I believe.
She isn't a stranger, she belongs.
She belongs, yeah. And I belong. So who is the guest and who is the inheritant? Who lives in a future village, and who is the guest? Is there even a we and them? Is it a new we, where you associate by decision or by intent? Super interesting.
I was thinking about earlier today about when I was a child, going to people's homes. I would perceive that there was a different ambience, and some homes were feeling a bit like, yeah, this is different. But then there were some homes which felt like, wow, this is so warm and welcoming. It's like somehow the way that the people were greeting me, but there was also like this atmosphere. It's like, this is a safe place to be. This is a welcoming place. There's something about that in the future village.
I think in the future village, what comes up too is that new ideas from new people can be welcomed, instead of just those that have lived there a long time. But the newness can be always welcome, for new ideas to bring forth.
Yeah, so it's also village something that shouldn't stagnate. We talked about a lot of learning this weekend as well, and I had my long 4.5 hour session last night, but much of it was about the learning universe. So what is the learning village then? A village that learns, that doesn't stagnate, a village that is curious about itself. Not just the inhabitants, but the entity village. What is like the entity that contains the learning of that village? Is it a document, a digital document in the cloud, or is it artifacts that we can actually carry around, made of wood or steel, or is it a story of minds that we can tell to each other, and things like that? what is it that what is the symbol like? And also we talked about symbols as well. Is this a symbol for a village? Do you have like a tattoo in your face, or is it an NFT picture on your phone that is unique only for your village? Or what can is there, because we know that symbols matter, clothes matter, everything that is visual or sensational to us send out signals that we identify, or some of them we identify with. And we should always identify with our village. So what is the symbols and the signaling that makes us identify with a village, that makes us feel belong?
We also had a question in our conversation about what happens when can I decide to leave this village, and where do I go, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I was thinking of what we're talking about now, a new definition of sustainability maybe. We leave in a better shape than when we came. And we also leave the place in a better shape than when we came.
Yeah, that connects to the learning.
That connects to the learning, yeah, definitely, and also the non-stagnation. I mean, a lot of people see the opposite of stagnation as some kind of a growing. Couldn't it just be learning? That is, of course, also some kind of a growth, but very often we mistake growth for like size. Growing in size, or growing in numbers, or growing and increasing, accelerating, I don't know, almost like a cancerogenic growth.
There is that, but I mean, I understand what you're saying, and I'm thinking the complexity, increasing complexity, include networking, like a network which connects more and more parts of it, higher orders of connection, higher geometries. That's another aspect of the learning, the growing in quality rather than quantity.
Yeah, that's beautiful, and that connects what we just spoke about on what did you say, Michael? How do we document or record? Or I don't know what you said actually, but couldn't it be just like, not just, but wrong word. Could it be like memories in our heart? When I went to Morocco, I think it was 10 years ago, I learned that when you shake your hand like this, if you just shake it, then and take the hand down, then it didn't mean anything. But if you shake the hand and you bring it to your heart, then it means that you take the other person to your heart. That was very beautiful. So I often, and you can even just enter a room and you did like this and nodded like that. It was very beautiful. I don't know if it was a ritual that a lot of people used, or if it was just the guy I met, or but I really believe that's a future village ritual.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah. I think this is where I think the online platform that we've built, Torch, there was some unsafety things around sexuality recently. And I wanted it to keep open, and I've been pondering how do we do this? How do we bring that higher consciousness? So I like that idea a lot, Christian, because Nora Bates' work today was sweet. I could see just coming up with a topic like sexuality and having a group conscience around sexuality and what it means for it to bring to a higher relationship, within the community, so that no one was left out, that no one was, but I didn't know how to interact, because it had been flowing for 5 years, really open. So it was a really big, that was really, really big for me.
I think that the sexuality is a very important energy to be mindful of in the future villages, especially in the terms of community, because we are so much in this in the nuclear family view of sexuality, which certainly has its functions and its purpose, but the sexual energy and the creative energy, which it really is about, is much bigger than just something shared between two people. So how can we handle that in a way which is meaningful and helpful and supporting to both ourselves and each other?
It had to do with older versus younger. So this is where it got tricky. The innocence of younger people. So there was, that's where it got tricky.
But if we see it more, it could definitely be the sexuality. It could also be the practicality. I mean, this what do you call it? Nuclear family? Did you call it that, Christopher?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So the problem is you have two grown-ups and some kids. You're lacking at least one grown-up. You should be like at least three, and maybe a village to raise this child. And that's from a practical point of view, actually. I don't know how it is in your life, but
Yeah.
I would say it could be very practical to be more adults.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I think safety came up for me, and I was like, oh, we've been a safe community. And I think that's what I like, what Christian just said was
Christopher.
creativity is sexuality. I mean, it is a very powerful energy, but something has to be, you know, when you get down to modern day living of rules and laws, and the fluidity and creativity as we see has been squashed in so many ways of many of us. And how do we bridge? I've not wanted to set up Torch as a regular business, and people come and go, you know? And it's been really beautiful just to see it flow.
Yeah. And there's something else there as well that of course aren't very prominent to us because we're not it, but it's called, I think was a conversation with maybe Daniel Schmatterberg about the asshole paradox. So organized religion and monogamy and also the nuclear family solved a very big problem in our villages and societies, but that had in all villages. That is, you don't want people to become assholes or behave badly, and monogamy made it so that if you were a boy and wanted to marry a girl, you have to behave yourself and be seen good in the community, so that the father would give the hand to the daughter. And we don't think about that. We think that is an old way of doing things, but they actually solved for this thing that's called the asshole paradox, because you couldn't become a young adult who was an asshole who did mischievous things and bad things to the tribe or other tribes, because then you couldn't marry. But and that we have moved away from today. And maybe that's a problem with modern citizen societies. You can get away with being an asshole so many places because people don't know what you did. And of course, that was for social media. Social media has changed that as well now, but there is this problem of us, because it's very easy to reinforce the behavior. You went up with three people and you all reinforce a bad behavior until it's become really bad behavior, and you start doing real violence and real hurting of people. And that's a very large problem. So a future village should also solve for this asshole paradox, to train people to live up to a village standard or village community. So they said, in this village, we will never do this. And you have a threshold for, I think, in keeping out of people misbehaving.
Why is it a paradox, Michael? What is the paradox in this?
The paradox is that I think it said, like in modern society, we can't keep guard of everyone else because we don't live close together. We don't, of course, in a big city or a place where you move outside your home, people don't keep track of what you do late at night or what you even do on the internet. That's a huge problem today. Adult people don't know what the young kids does on the internet. That's so, and we said, like, the paradox is that we think everything is becoming better in today's society, but we don't know that some things like bad behavior are becoming worse. There's always been bad apples and bad behavior in every society everywhere, but we lost the conversation how we keep track of them.
Disconnect. Sorry.
No, it's not the police works. It's the community works. It's the village work to keep track on them.
Yeah, this connects to a conversation here in the studio earlier today. Some people here, they talked about the feminine principle and so on, and how can we bring it again into the Western society and so on. And then they talked about a specific thing, and this is where it's really interesting to what you say right now, because they were talking about when women are talking to each other, it's very often seen as some kind of a gossip, but it could also be seen from a totally other point of view, and that is caring for each other. So this is what, I mean, we could round that paradox by having another way of talking about each other. I mean, if I talk to you, Michael, about Christopher, it could be that it's not like I'm talking him down, but I'm talking him up, or something like that. I don't know how to. I know when we talked in our little glass bead circle here, or whatever it was called, I think it was you, Margaret, who mentioned the values or the rituals and how we embody stuff. I really enjoyed that aspect of it, because this is where I believe we are lacking in the so to speak present village. So in the future village, it's not only that which values do we have and which rituals. We have rituals in the future village. We have values, because I don't believe we really have that today. And maybe that's why the paradox is a paradox. Maybe, I don't know if it made any sense what I just said, but I believe so.
Yeah.
I think if we discard people, though, I think this is where I heard somebody recently say, hurt people. And then he said, we have to have unconditional forgiveness. And then it was like, you hear about unconditional love, but unconditional forgiveness. And then it was like, okay, how do I do this? I mean, we did bring it to the group conscience. I've been involved in enough of these type little inquiries, so I didn't make decisions myself, which was really important to me, because it's not about me. It's about the safety of humanity, But this idea of asshole community, the prison work that my friend Darnell does, he goes into the prisons, and I have many friends that have gone and done prison work.
But isn't it the same thing, unconditional forgiveness and unconditional love? That's my first question. And the second question is, why do we always have to put in some kind of a word in front of stuff like unconditional love? Why isn't love already unconditional? I mean, it's like saying something like sustainable business. Who wants an unsustainable business or whatever? I mean, it's like it's
the opposite is of course then conditional love. I only love you if
if you
do that and that.
Thank you. That's good. I still going back to Christian's idea, and I'd love to hear from you, Margaret, what you were thinking about.
Christopher, Lynn, Christopher is his name. Yeah.
Please forgive me. I think ritual is really important in some of this. And I was talking about ritual about planting seeds with the children recently, and how much that ritual and changed the mindset of all those involved, and the ritual of just being in the earth together, or building a home together, or that's where goodness comes, right? And there's an innocence of exploration, and the innocence and good is what I really been thinking about.
I've been thinking about the ritual of greetings a lot, of who do I greet and why, and just noticing the patterns of how it relates to my own mood, how safe I feel, the external environments, the kind of signaling I get from another person. So I'm thinking back to Michael's inquiry of like, do we have like a badge or a symbol that kind of communicates that we are part of a shared village? And I notice, at least in myself, this desire to extend rituals to people who are maybe liminally not in my village, but could be, of to kind of make that connection, to use ritual to make a connection, to make a bridge, and see what happens. And like noticing this desire to expand my own lexicon of kind of what rituals might be appropriate for different conditions, cultures, people, ages, and feeling like the ritual is maybe a language that I would like to speak better.
Yeah. My suggestion is that we do a second round where we play on ritual. It's the one we have played several times on. It's all, and every time we play it, different thing comes up, and it's an important world, and we can see what we can make for. So how many people want to stay for a second round? Someone has to go.
What did you say? What was the question? I didn't.
We'll do a second round of Glass Bead games on ritual, and then we come back to this conversation afterwards.
Is it ritual and future village?
No, only ritual this time.
Only ritual.
But of course, as this is a cognitive and sense-making exercise, you will of course bring everything with you that we've talked about so far. So it will be, of course, you will cognitively connect it to everything we talked for the last hour. That's the beauty of this exercise.
Florian says he is leaving.
Yeah.
Bye, Florian. Nice to meet you and play with you.
Oh, nice.
Take care. Bye.
I would also like to just share something with you. Yesterday, I had a summit to attend in Japan. And the summit started at 9:30 in the morning, which was 2:30 a.m. in Greece. And I stayed up all night between 2:30 and 8:30 in the morning. Being 12 o'clock midnight, I think my body is telling me something, which means that I really do not have the capacity of being here fully. So I would like very much to just excuse myself and go rest, because it has been a very hard yet very insightful experience last night. But that doesn't have to do anything with your game, with the game of the future village. I hope you understand. Yes?
Yeah, of course, Christiana, you are a true hero in our village.
Mm-hmm. And by the way, I do invite people to come to my present village that I would like to change into a future village. So before I depart from here, please do come.
I've been
Thank
there.
you very
I
much.
can say it's a fantastic place.
I hope. Thank you very much, Christiana, and hopefully, Christiana, you leave in a better shape now than when you came. Maybe.
To tell you the truth, yes, because I really I was exhausted. I wanted to participate honestly, I wanted to participate, but I was really weighed down, and now I'm feeling very peaceful and very secure and very loved. But it's just taking its toll on me. That's all. And I cherish very much the way we are going with this. But I think that I'm gonna go.
Love. Have a good rest, okay? Please.
Thank you very, very much. Nice to have met Stellan, Margaret, Christopher, and nice to see again Lynn and Michael. Good night.
Good night.
Good night,
Good night.
Christina.
Yes,
Nice to meet
yes,
you too.
yes.
Blessings.
Hmm.
So I'm thinking I and Christopher and Margaret will stay in the main room, and Stellan and Lynn will play together in the breakout room. That's good.
Okay, that's good.
Okay, then
Can't
I
hear you
will
still.
go. I will go into the breakout room with Christopher, and then the three of you can stay here. That's good.
We're changing. Stellan, you're muted.
Sorry. How do you formulate the question, Michael?
It's just ritual. What is ritual, or whatever you comes to mind. So the word we play on ritual, just the word, and you're free to frame it how you like.
Okay.
Yeah. So the rules are as before. Try to listen actively and not think about what you're going to say, but you're very welcome to write down what other people says and what you said yourself. I always write down. This is my notes for the first round. I always write down.
Sorry, why did we change the groups?
Because that's good to do. To play
No, I
with someone
mean,
else.
first you said it would be the three of us, and then
Okay,
changed.
Stellan said that he's the host.
The problem here is that the problem here is that I'm streaming, and I believe if I go into a breakout room, there will be.
You don't want to
problems.
mess with the tech gods tonight.
No.
All hail to the tech gods.
Or we can use this opportunity for testing.
No, now we can do it. It's no problem. I will go.
All together.
We can all play all five of us if you want as well. You want that?
Yeah.
Why not?
You will experience a 5-player game, then I will change.
Are you okay with that, Christopher?
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah.
So I will draw it down to 49 seconds so it doesn't become.
How many
long.
rounds will we go?
So 4 rounds each, 5 people. So it's 18 minutes.
Yeah. Okay. More liquids. I really have to go for
short
water
bio
also.
break, 2-minute bio break for anyone.
Bio break. Super. 2 minutes bio break. Great.
Perfect.
I'm back. Who else is back?
I'm back. Whenever I have those headphones, I don't very often use it. So when I put those on, it's like, we are the world, we are the children, we are the ones who make a better day.
That's it. Give in.
Yeah. I think when I'm streaming, it's the only occasion I use headphones. I always get warm in my ears. So
I brought fruit and cookies to our ritual.
wow. I only came up with carbonated water, but that's good enough.
There's a grape. You would like a grape.
So are we ready to play? Then we go playing order. Who want to go first? I don't go first on this one.
Oh, I need my app.
Christopher first.
Okay.
Stellan
You know me,
second.
Michael. I don't mind throwing
Lynn
myself out there.
second.
Me second. Okay.
Stellan third. Margaret fourth. And I fifth. You got that? You can rearrange on your Zoom screen.
So Christopher, Lynn, Margaret, Stellan, Michael.
No,
Is that it?
Christopher, Lynn, Stellan, Margaret, Michael.
Right. Excellent.
Everyone okay with that? Then I will start the meditation. And the topic is, of course, ritual.
So building on what was said just before about rituals, it's something that struck a chord with me, or not me, but struck a chord here. So when do the rituals come into play? Is there a certain time and place for that? Is it, and how to include people that might be a part of the ritual and might not? What is the way to signal, to recognize if there is a potential for connection in ritual? What ritual is that?
It was May Day, early morning. The sun hadn't come up, but the children were sleeping. The long ribbons were tied around the pole. The adults came. The apple crisp was in the oven. The baked beans had been baking all night. As the fire was lit and the children awoke, they peeked out the window. They got their garlands on. They saw their ribbons being hung on the pole. And the adults came and everyone danced together.
Rituals, when and where? What rituals? How do we perform those? Why do we do it? With whom do we do it? Who decides what to become a ritual? And when we have this ritual, who sees to it that it's really a ritual, that it means that it has some kind of a reoccurring It's a recurring event of some kind. Rituals for what? And for why? And for how?
Margaret.
Rituals for what, for why, and for how. What makes a ritual? Is it just repetition? If I brush my teeth every day, is brushing my teeth a ritual? What is it that separates the experience of something that carries with it the sacred? Can that be infused into any activity? Can any activity become a ritual?
Can any activity become a ritual? Is it sacred? What makes a ritual? Repetition. Repetition is also a habit. Repetition is a skill. It's something, a daily activity. And ritual is not that. We can take anything, how silly, how profound, to make it a ritual. But to call it a ritual, there's some kind of ceremony around it, or else it's just a habit, perhaps. So there is a connection to ceremony. There could be a connection to profoundness, but there can also be a connection to silliness. You're mute, Gustav.
So rites and rituals are often grouped together, especially talking of indigenous peoples or cultures of the past. So what is the difference really between a rite and a ritual? It's just that a rite is more exotic. And how does it qualify as a ceremony? Saying grace before food, is that enough to qualify for a ritual, but maybe not for a rite? A rite should be something bigger, maybe, like the whole community comes together.
Silliness in the ritual. A daily chore turned into a ritual with joy and fun and silliness. Brushing my teeth. Taste. And I think about ritual in elements, water, fire, earth, when I'm holding food. I think of all the rituals of the sun that made the food to my table. I lost my clock and my ritual. And
Yeah, there's definitely some kind of a circularity, but the time frame could be very different. The bigger events in life maybe only occur once in every lifetime or in the lifespan, and that is also a ritual for a person being born, transformed into a new era, like going to school for the first time or leaving school, going into a marriage, entering life, and entering death. There is a circularity there.
Rituals as marking transitions, movement from one state to a new. Rituals as symbols of death and change and birth. Does a ritual have to be embodied? Does it need to involve all of the senses?
And everyone danced in the end. So much about ritual. There's the one-offs, giving birth to life, the death of life, unavoidable and celebratable. Big or small ceremonies, certainly one-off. And then there's the question of annular and moonular events, solstice, winter solstice, summer solstice, full moons, giving rise to opportunity for rituals to occur. And also, is rituals always, is there always scripted, or is there room for improvise? Does then the ritual disappear when it's not recognized?
There is definitely room for improvisation in a ritual, but it is something that happens more than once, maybe only once in a lifetime of one person, but it's something that can be recognized as, maybe it doesn't even have to happen more than once, but it's to give support to a change of some sort, some kind of transition or transformation. The ritual is a support for the person or the group of people or the place. Maybe it's an inauguration ritual for a place, opening a new village, maybe.
Season comes back to me in the ritual of place and yearly celebrations. But birth and death are in the liminal unknowing. And so the unseen and the seen, thinking about ritual. But year after year, the maypole appeared. And each year it grew with the mystery. And so the mystery opened new adventures each time. So it was never the same. The ritual was never the same, but it grew to many, many people in the dance.
Rituals with a meaning, rituals that are like inherited knowledge and inherited wisdom, rituals connecting artifacts with embodiedness, and also symbols and relations. Definitely room for improvisation, but at the same time, room for recognition, room for safety in recognition, and safety in being allowed to just follow through and don't have to engage by creating new all the time.
What if with safety we can have wildness? I'm thinking of that, the ritual is never the same, yet there is a sense of continuity, right? It's different, not necessarily familiar, but there is continuity. There is some sort of sense of a chain, right? Like linking across space and time and across conditions, a continuation of a dance, even if the form is different, the sound, the music, the beings are different.
Yeah. Rituals is continuation. And ritual, of course, however perfect, every atom in the universe will not be the same on a recurring event. So it's always different. And our recognition of keeping the sameness, but evolving the meaning. The meaning is what we carry with us. So there's a learning for ritual as well. there's a learning process, and so the learning is part of learning is change, but it's not just change, it's also creating something that builds upon what was before. So it was before.
A living ritual that has room for learning, as opposed to a dead ritual, which is just repeated mindlessly. A living ritual which breathes, and where there is also room for the ritual itself to have its own life, its own sense of being. The inspiration can come from many places, but the fact that the ritual is performed inspires the moment and gives birth to new ideas.
Anointing of that moment, like of that ritual, of that presence. Just now, we're here in this moment. Timelessness can come. Is there structure? Or are there products? I just anoint you with the 3 wise men as I anoint myself with the smell. And I come back to the senses of ritual and the sense of ancient time, of harvest, seasonal celebration.
Sense, living ritual continuity, knowing generations and connecting generations from past to present, from present to future, from future to past, from past to future, from present to present. And also in some sense, creating meaning itself. The rituals as a way of connecting to a higher purpose.
What if rituals are magic portals? What if rituals are magic portals? What if they're structures, in the loosest sense of the term, that we create and fill and inhabit in order to bridge between generations, times, spaces, mindsets, life and death? What if rituals are just the way that we open up and just create? It doesn't have to be a hole. It could be a tree, just a little portal.
Portals, magic portals. Of course, the ritual is a magic portal. Magic is the definition of change. Unforeseen change. Unexplainable change. But so the outcome of a ritual should never be predicted. There's no prediction in this change. The ritual enables something to emerge. We shouldn't be anticipating what comes after the ritual, and that's the magic in the portal. So it's a magic change. Thank you. What came to you?
Magic. I believe we just entered a portal. At least I did. I actually speak for all of us now, so it's okay. I hope.
Yeah.
I really like this, what was said at the very end. So not to anticipate the outcome of the ritual. It made me reflect on how this difference between a living ritual and a dead ritual, when the ritual is just performed as some sort of routine, then it's like, okay, now this is done, now it's consecrated, like in church. When the bread and wine is consecrated, when it's done just as a routine, well, then it's
a dead ritual.
But when it's alive, when the minister or the priest is really present and it's performed as a living ritual, I've experienced that it really is something completely different. It changes and it opens up this magic portal.
Isn't it like rituals are like weaving a weave that is maybe it had a starting point, I don't know, but it probably never have an ending point. But yeah, this was magic.
I really have to share, because the maypole it was 12 years of maypole. And each year it grew into something itself. And the weaving around the pole made me just think of this, the weaving was different every year because the children were free to dance and the parents were free to dance. And there was no structure except the pole itself. And there were songs that we all knew. So we'd all sing the same song. So there was formation, but the pole got given to another family when my daughter was 12. And we were in a situation where the pole, I went through divorce and that pole, I went the next year to Maypole. I was all excited to the new family and it was all structured and the children were crying. They was trying to bring order into the whole ritual. And it just didn't, there wasn't that freedom to express. So it kind of brings what Michael was saying. And I think it is important to keep the magic and the ritual, the mystery to let things be silly. Yeah, I'm back to silly. I'm back to joy of ritual.
Margaret, what came to you?
I am back to silly as well. I am thinking about, I keep thinking of the silly, not yet rituals, but might one day be, that I have with my 2-year-old niece, of things that we come back to that are just ridiculous and that I hope will persist. And I keep thinking, what is enough? Like, what is enough magic? How much is enough? I have this sense that there's some paradox there. It's both far less than I think and far more than I can imagine. And I'm thinking of seeds, thinking of the acorn, thinking of things unfolding. And yeah, I'm feeling very witchy and feeling like we have conjured and started to play with magic here together.
Yeah. And of course, what comes to me is back to the silliness when Christopher said death rituals, and I'm a long time board gamer and fantasy nerd geek, and in that context, ritual is something you do to summon a demon or summon a dead thing, and that is the dead ritual, summon something that be dead, raise a skeleton or summon a demon. Or in the silliness part of this, and it goes very apparent when you also said like ritual that is too boring and doesn't change anything. They're dead rituals, but they bring the death into us, like a slow unchanging unliveliness, like sedimentary is us back into the opposite of ritual. This is too much unalive happy. It's the days go by and you don't remember a year because you did nothing novel and things like that. So that's full of dead rituals and dead habits. And that was not what life is about. It's about novelty and ritual that changes, full of magic that changes us, and we don't know into what. Yeah.
I really like that, Michael. I think that's really key because I think, yeah, there's something about what Christopher was saying about the Eucharist and the living waters of life and the abundance. I live alone now, and I'm just this has been so wonderful. Thank you. It's really important as a ritual for me because people need people. Yeah, like Nora said this morning. So that ritual. It's really
People
nice.
need people.
Yeah. People need people.
Christopher, what comes to you?
Water just came to me.
Well, I am rum.
You're a pirate.
I'm a pirate, a captain on the pirate ship of Earth.
Let's get to the future there. Is there somewhere to get to? It's on now. Love you guys. It's beautiful.
Yeah. And I can share, we played on ritual many games. It's one of the most common themes in maybe 4 or 5 times I've played on ritual before the last 2 years. And something that came in one of these rooms was when we talked about like a Monty Python style institute for silly rituals. So for every ritual, you had to go to an institution, apply for a license to hold this ritual, and it must be silly as well and things like that. So we built the whole conversation around what does this Institute of Silly Ritual look like. That every ritual must be silly and it must be controlled by this institute, and of course it becomes absurd, but when you think about it, we actually have this in our society today. We have lots of things you must do for no reason at all, more than that they must be controlled and complied. The command and control society is full of silly rituals, but they're lacking all the fun parts of silly. They're just stupid.
They're lacking the fun part of silly. I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, silly without fun. That's really stupid.
Yeah, that's just stupid. I love that one.
And then okay, we should have an institute for silly rituals, but what we actually have is institute for stupid rituals. All the laws and policies today that hold us back, and that comes back to what we listened to a conversation with Nora with Nate Hagen that just said that fantastic quote. I have it here somewhere.
The more I think of it, the more ridiculous it gets.
But it says, in order to keep things the same, there has to be a lot of change happening. So our strivings to keep policies and no change in society creates all kinds of change in unwanted places, like the biosphere. So that's the rest product of a society that's static, full of stupid rituals that try to keep things the same. That creates a lot of unwanted change in places where we don't want it. So.
That's very interesting, Michael, because that's exactly what I've been thinking about a lot lately, that things are constantly changing, and it's about being in harmony with that change, which is being alive. But so much is done to sort of keep us away from the change, and as you're saying, that requires enormous amounts of energy.
Yeah,
and it has consequences for sure,
Mhm.
because things change anyway.
Mm.
Amen. Beautiful. I'm gonna say good night, good day,
Good night, Lynn.
good
Yeah.
life,
Bye.
good love, good
Good.
fun,
Yes.
Good to meet with you.
goodness.
Lovely meeting you, then.
Yeah,
Good
Sharing
night,
and playing.
Lynn. Thank you.
yeah.
Take
Thank
care.
you so much.
Thank you.
Really fun. I'm there, Michael. Give me the next one.
Yeah, we do one tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Central European time, and then we're back on summertime, so that should be noon San Francisco.
Noon San Francisco tomorrow.
Yeah.
Oh, good. I will try. Tell me where and when. I don't know.
Yeah, there's a Facebook group called Bead Games. I will
Okay.
send you the link where we post out links, and we have a Discord server as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You're all beautiful.
And I'm going to leave you guys too. It's getting late. I had a very late night last night, as some of you know.
Yeah, you are in my room.
I was in your room, in my car. My car was in your room.
Yeah.
So, but I really enjoyed this this game.
Yeah.
Both of these games.
Give me your feeling of the game itself. How?
I like it. It reminds me of the talking circle, which is a ritual that I like to play a lot with my friends and family, and with the talking stick going around. But then it's not timed. It's people speak as long as they want or remain silent.
Yeah, and they can still use word like you and I.
Yes, exactly. There are absolutely no rules. Only that the person with the stick talks or has the space, and the rest listen, and then to conclude the aho, to sort of signal that we've heard each other. But so it reminded me of that in a sense. But the main difference, I think, in the energy and the dynamic is that in the talking circle, it tends to be a much slower energy, and it also tends to be, it doesn't have to, but oftentimes it becomes like more personal sharing, more emotional, more deep. Whereas this was more uplifting, more like intellectual, maybe is not the right word, but it was more sparkling and inspiring in its dynamic.
Yeah, playful maybe.
Yeah, playful, and since it was quicker, like there was just a minute
A
or
flow.
even less now. It was more like different kind of flow, faster. Yeah, and I like that. I love that. I think that the challenge with this one is, or what to be mindful of, is to remain grounded and to not dissociate from the body and just become mental, but to really, like you were dancing with your hands, like to really have this
I does that
body
unconsciously
awareness.
when I go into flow. Yeah.
And to have and to stay grounded throughout. I think that is really key.
What do you think, Margaret?
I like the pace. I don't like it, which makes me intrigued and curious. There's something discomforting about it. And that is it, I think, maybe analogous to what Christopher just mentioned, but there's something about the continued movement of cycling through people that I noticed, like a little bit of like, oh, and then just kind of like, okay, I just have to flow with it. Like kind of this sense of like being on a stream or something and just being like, all right, we're moving and we'll see where we end up. And that to me is an invitation that doesn't always appear. And it was nice to receive. And so I definitely felt very held by the structure in that sense. And yeah, I have a curiosity to like be more playful with this game, almost of like, oh, the next time I show up at a game, what can I do differently? How can I explore more and push the limits of what I think is possible? So it feels like there's a really nice balance of like being held, but also room for creativity.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Stella, what did you think? What came to you about the game itself?
I believe what we're doing now is still the game, so I will build upon what Margaret just said, and because I believe in those threads. I really believe that this is how we. I don't know how to say this, but if we're talking about original thoughts or original, I mean, just not repetition of what is already created or already, then I believe a thread like this is very powerful in creating new knowledge. One can always argue that maybe we didn't bring any novelty at all, but for me it was novelty. And I've been thinking of rituals a lot before, so it's not that I was like coming in uneducated or whatever, unknowledged or so. And I'm also thinking of, maybe it's part of the intellectual, but it's more the intellectus, the whole. I really loved what Margaret said earlier about embodiment and embodying. What do you say? Embodiment. How do you say it?
Embodiment.
Embodiment. Okay.
Embodiment.
Yeah, because for me that is connecting the what can be measured, but with what can't be measured. So it connects us, and I believe this was a good exercise for that. And just as you said exactly now a minute ago, Margaret, that both a structure for being held, but also being able to create something that's like an enabling structure. And I love this. It resembles a little bit one of the workshop formats within Art of Hosting called World Cafe. It's also like a very time clocked. First time you experience it, you really like, wow, what's happening here, and why did I do like this, and so on. But then you realize that when you, for instance, I've been facilitating I don't know how many World Cafes, and after a while you realize that it's extremely creative by having like something to connect to or to relate to. That is, I mean, a structure which is just a clock. That's not much. So I believe we had a very nice thread in both of the games or the rounds, because still I would say this is part of the game.
Yeah.
And who knows when it ends?
The meta game.
The meta game.
I'm thinking when you're saying the word novelty, it reminds me of the movie Top Secret. There is someone standing outside. Is pretending to be a salesperson, and he's saying, "Souvenirs, novelties, party tricks." Souvenirs, novelties, party tricks. And this is actually his disguise. He's a guy who's like the protagonist is supposed to meet him, so he's dressed up as this salesperson. So that's
He says inside a rock, but novelty souvenirs.
all right. Thank you all. It was lovely. See you in another game.
Thank you, Christopher.
Thanks,
Be well.
Christopher. Sleep well.
I will also bid you both adieu. Thank
Mm.
you. Thank you for captaining us, Captain Future.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Take care, Margaret. Nice to meet you.
Where are you in the world, Margaret?
I'm in New York City.
You're in New York City. How did you find us? I shared it everywhere. So.
You I saw it this time in the Liminal DAO
Liminal DAO,
proposal
okay.
group. Yeah.
The Discord,
I also am
Liminal
in
DAO.
I'm also in the Glass Bead. There's a few.
So
So
just Discord.
I have been meaning to come to a Glass Bead game for like 2 years, and
Okay.
it's one of those things that like I'm like, oh, I know that like there's games on Saturdays and Sundays. I work with my schedule, and I somehow never. And today it just it worked.
Well, lucky us. I thought the two of you knew each other, so I was actually thinking of asking Michael afterwards, can I connect to Margaret? But then we need to do that now. If you, I think I'm quite easy to find on social media. I have a quite.
I hope I am not easy to find, but yeah, we can definitely connect.
Yeah, thanks. So,
what's your preferred platform, Stellan?
It could be almost not any, but preferable either Facebook or LinkedIn. So that's the most personal.
I'm not
version.
on either of those.
Okay, so what are you on? Clubhouse? No.
I have it. I don't go.
Okay, so which is a preferable one? Email?
No, not email.
No.
Like anything that's like Discord, WhatsApp, Signal, Telegram, anything like that. I check.
So if you comment on my post on the Liminal DAO, I will find you for Stellan there. So.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, great.
I'll send you.
Great, super. That's a good idea.
Yeah. And I will say I'm quite slow.
You are quite slow. I wouldn't say that. I thought you were a genius.
I'm warning you as someone who I've just met. I'm quite slow. I love to connect and receive inquiries, but I go through periods of like.
Yeah. I mean, before you answer, okay, that's not a problem.
So I will see it and I will respond. It may not be timely, but it will happen eventually. So I just give that as a good, warning label when meeting Margaret.
That sounds like me also. So once I was working with a former colleague, and he said something like because I never answered his emails that quick as he would like to have it. So he said like, my rules is that you answer an email within a day. Okay, good for you. That's not my rule. I love that one.
Yeah. I feel like that's a question that I was thinking of when we talked about the future village of like pacing, and how do you communicate your own pace or your own rhythm when you're meeting different people, especially if they're not I answer an email within 24 hours. How do you kind of like invite people into your rhythm and still find some kind of harmony?
That's interesting, really interesting. Margaret, you weren't like a slow responder in this Glassbeard games, I would say. I was like, wow, where did she come from?
Portal, a magic portal.
I
stepped through it.
Wonderful. Okay.
Nice to meet you.
And we will actually ending. So we say bye to you, and then we just end this session, I guess. Take care, Margaret. Bye.
Take care.
Michael, anything else you want to say before we run the video?
Of course, anyone watching this, you will find me. I'm easy to find. Michael Zillen, Captain Future, on every platform. Reach out to me, and I will hook you up.
Every platform.
Yeah, most of them. Discord, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube. Hook up with me, and I will hook you up with your own personal glass bead game. You can even decide for your own beads, and I will gladly host the first game for you and get you going if you want to experience what we just experienced here. So thank you everyone for listening to this stream in Afterhand. I know some of my glass bead games friends will watch it at least.
Okay, so let's see what we can do here.
We are creating the world we're now living in. We are competing in. We are repeating in. We are believing in. It's time for us to shift our mind from best in the world to best for the world. Make decisions intentional, to take decisions intentional, making decisions intentional. Make decisions intentional, to take decisions intentional, making decisions intentional. It creates a new world to mind a shift, intentionality, perceptuality, conceptuality. We are choosing to shift our mind to best for the world, best for our world. Make decisions intentional, to take decisions intentional, making decisions intentional. Make decisions intentional, to take decisions intentional, making decisions intentional.